Good morning, everyone, and welcome back to another episode from the AZ900 series. My name is Rashmita, and I'm the event planner for Microsoft Reactor India. This session will run over the next 60 minutes, including Q&A. But before we begin, please take a moment to read our code of conduct. We are all here to learn together, so please be respectful of other people's views, understanding of differences, being kind and considerate in the way you engage. The chat section will be open throughout, and we do encourage you all to participate. I would now like to welcome Swamy, our speaker for today's session. He is an aspirant software architect and currently works at Applied Information Sciences. He loves to learn about new technologies, but for now, I will hand over to Swamy to begin the session. Let me bring him into the stream.
Hey
Over to you,
Rashmita,
Swamy.
good morning. How are
Hi,
you doing this morning?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm good. Thank you so much. Guys, greetings of the day. And thank you so much for joining the third session of the series. Could you please flash my screen, Rashmita? Okay. Um, so this is the third session, and we have covered the first topic. Microsoft Azure fundamentals describe cloud concepts, and right now we are focusing on this block, this section, which is again subdivided into describe core architectural components and describe Azure compute and networking services and storage and describe Azure Identity Access. So, what we will do is today we will discuss the Azure Storage Service in its entirety, and then we will look at uh, deploying options. Hosting options to deploy web apps. We'll look into that, and we'll just touch upon it, and we'll come about on the Azure Virtual Desktop. We'll come and do the hands-on, but this will be full-on hands-on, like. Uh, Full on hands on web apps, we'll do a deep dive, and storage account, we'll do a deep dive. And deploying of applications, we'll do in the next session, that is 27th or 26th of this month, where we will be deploying applications to the virtual machine, that is infrastructure as a service, and we will do deployment to web applications, we do deployment to containers, and we'll do Azure functions. So much of this block will be covered. The only topic will be left out is the Azure virtual networking piece, which we will do it when we are doing the session 5 along with this. And one final topic, which is governance, and we'll see that whatever the hands-on which is left out will do there. That's the plan of attack. So if you see that, what did we do in the previous episode? We we quickly went about seeing the Azure regions pair and Sovereign regions, and we know that region is an area where we will have a lot of data centers, and paid region is if you're in South India, Central or West India is the paid region, so that the disaster recovery can be covered. If one region is down, still you will have your assets in another region. Then sovereign regions is one in US, one in Germany, and one in China. These are very specifically handled by uh, government, but the due to GDPR or policies within the country, this will not be handled by Microsoft. It will be handled by the respective group, so that their customer data or their data will be safe. Microsoft will not have access to that customer's data. And we spoke about availability zone, where availability zone is, again, we saw that the update domain and the fault domain, and we saw that we'll have three update domain and three fault domains and 20 update domains. So fault domain is the entire rack where uh, the power, it will have its own power. If someone unplugs the power, that fault domain, assume that we have three racks full of uh, 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 virtual machines or the physical infrastructure. Someone pulled the plug in one rack, but still two racks are safe. So three fault domains and 20 update domains. And we saw the data centers, and we saw the resource group and resources subscription managements. And while creating the virtual machine, we spoke a little bit on the availability set. How, if you place the virtual machine in two different availability set, placing it in a different fault domain and different update domain, you deploy your application. If one of the fault domain is gone, but still you have your another virtual machine where you deployed the same instance of the application, still 50% of your application is up and running, maybe the middle tier or the backend services. Still you can run your business. You might have the traffic hit that box, but still you're in business, you're not out of business. And one thing we were discussing about the uh, global infrastructure, I was little in rush. Just wanted to quickly touch upon this now. If we come back, let me see. Here is India. Now, if you see this legends over here, you can click on that, something which shows as a upcoming, and we are not seeing anything. Maybe all are announced, so nothing in upcoming. So if you see geographics, so it says that you can click on that, so that it will us a more information. Like this is geography and regions. There are two regions available within the geograph. Okay, so if you go and select the region here, so within the Canadian place, these are different regions. So one is Canada East and Canada Central, and this is US East. So if you see the Canada geography, it clearly says that it has got two regions, and one is Canada East and the Canada West. You can see that when it has opened availability zones, which availability zones, disaster recovery options, what all the certifications they have completed, like PCI, PIDSS, payment card industry, data security standards, and a lot of other certifications, industry compliance, and the global compliance certifications they have covered. And if you see this, you can go, and if you want to learn what edge zones are there, you can click on that. Edge zone are extensions of Azure that supports VM and containers, like point of presence, which routes to the nearest one. So the cooling project, or the what is sustainability project, somewhere we read about the sustainability project. So it says that these projects provide Microsoft with renewable energy certificates. Okay, you can get deep into the weeds to find out whatever we want to know. We will be able to, I mean, you can select all, and you can start it spin, and then click on these things. And also, you can expand it further to the upmost, and you can see that United States, there are 9 regions and one coming soon. So if I show coming soon, technically it should show. I don't know, maybe it is announced or changed the status. If you uh, see this one, this is United States. It says one coming soon. So when we select this, technically it should show what is that coming soon, but never mind. We have regions and switch it back, and you can go dig deep into the weeds and learn more. Okay. So next thing we will, as I was mentioning, what is that we are going to cover here in this is we will be covering the we'll touch upon that Azure Virtual Desktop, but the hands-on we'll do in the fifth or sixth session. Fourth session, I have parked it for two other things. Three, it will be full-on hands-on application deployment. Other things, we'll do a deep dive into this. Spend a decent 20 minutes time on this one, and we'll complete this entire syllabus on the Azure Storage Account. What we will do is we will do a hands-on, and then we'll come back and compare that with the theoretical stuff. Just give me a minute. I'll have a quick glass of water. Okay, let's start with this one. So these all things, sorry, these all things are coming from the Azure Compute and Networking Services. So Azure Compute, what all the types we can have this Azure Compute. So the when you compare this compute itself, you can widely divide that into virtual machine and the container instances, whether it is Azure container instances or the Kubernetes, and also functions. So the compute we can divide into those things. And the virtual machine, we saw that scale set. Really don't remember the scale set whether we discussed, or if not, we will see. I think we discussed it, but if not, we'll just cover that. Okay. So now we will be hosting options. We will do a deep dive on this one. And in the next session, we will go ahead and deploy in all these three places. We'll deploy applications to web application, containers, and virtual machines, and as well as we'll do the Azure functions. We'll cover the entire thing. So the only piece which will be left out to complete this entire section is the virtual networking, which I'll show you some pieces, which I'll definitely show you the Azure virtual networks and create a virtual network subnets, CIDR blocks, and how do you split it. We'll do hands-on, but some of the things like a express routes and some other things will verbally discuss. Okay. That being said, without further delay, I'll close this one so that I have one less window to deal with. So we'll go ahead and uh, start with this Azure Virtual Desktop. So another type of virtual machine is Azure Virtual Desktop. Okay, it's a desktop and application virtualization. So you can access with the browser. At this point of time, I just wanted to quickly show you this piece, Azure Virtual Desktop. So you can have our virtual desktop and access that through the browser, and we'll do a hands-on in. I just want to show you. See, these are the applications, but it looks like you will have a browser there, and from that browser you'll be able to access, like if you see that virtual desktops, you'll have the virtual desktop which you can scale also, and you'll have a browser. Within that browser itself, you will be able to access all these applications. Okay, I'll just create something in the next episode, or in the fifth episode, but definitely we will cover this also hands on. But as of now, understand that you'll have a browser kind of interface where you can see these apps and virtual desktops. And let's start uh, dealing with this. Let me come back to this one, and again go back to the fundamentals. Go back to the fundamentals for a moment. Cloud computing, this one, PaaS services. So let's spend 1 minute. So the shared responsibility model, we saw that infrastructure as a service and the platform as a service. So the first type, we created the virtual machine that is infrastructure as a service. Now, if you see the uh, platform as a service, now if you see the picture over here, so the dark blue or a navy color kind of thing is the infrastructure as a service. Like if we create a virtual machine and deploy, we have more responsibility. I'm not scaring and I'm not telling that we should never use infrastructure as a code, but there are many scenarios where we definitely need to use it. Imagine a scenario where you have an intellectual property, or you did designed an engine which has got the intellectual property of your company. You can definitely go ahead with the infrastructure as a service where you deploy it, and you will have a tightened security. Don't allow any ports, and all the security things which you need to take care, you will definitely take care there. And also imagine a scenario, whatever the PaaS services we are using, we'll see that in a minute. And one of the framework which it is not supported for those, to host those kind of apps, again you definitely need the infrastructure as a service, like one of the version in Go or Python or any of the framework which it is not supporting in the app service, you again need to go back. So let's come back here to go ahead and start with the app service, and then we will come back and see this one. So in in when you're creating this Azure virtual machine, so we go and we select what is that we need it. Let's create both, and we will see that it is not going to take more time. uh, Virtual machine, so that we can do a quick compare and contrast. I'll take a very simple virtual machine so that it will be done real quick. I'll take the Windows virtual machine itself. Here it is there. I'll say VM Windows developer box 001. Okay. I am not using any of these things, whether it is a availability set or availability zone or the scale set, where the uh, where you want to increase horizontally, add more number of virtual machines based on the performance of existing virtual machine, so you can scale it. So we said we don't want anything, and the security type is by default. So let me select any of this virtual machine. Image is not compatible. The selected security type standard. Okay. And we'll see what is that we want to do it. Anyways, I will take a smaller virtual machine, and I will use demo user. Okay. and only the remote port I'm allowing, and I will select this. And again, we can correlate this with the storage, which is going to come next. So if you see that the OS disk type, we said that this is, we can go ahead and choose whether we want standard HDD or standard SSD or premium SSD for best performance for production workload. So these storages, these hard disk will be stored in the storage account that we will see in the third demo which we are doing. And if you see the networking perspective, these all are interrelated. So uh, how it is interrelated, we will see once we will create it. We can go ahead and place this one. And this is the management networking. I will accept whatever it is. As I was mentioning, we can execute the custom data, and cloud init is for Linux, and this is for Windows virtual machine. And I will go ahead and create this virtual machine. So let's create this virtual machine. So it's telling me that it's going to charge me around 6 rupees per hour. So it's only for 1 hour. I'll delete it afterwards. Or else I can keep it because I have to deploy something in the next episode. So I will do at least 2 to 3 hours of work. It is here. I'll capture the screen prints and I'll give you an entire documentation. What did I do to make that box eligible or prepared for deploying the applications? And we also saw that where can we go ahead and check this, what are all the items which it is creating. Okay, I think that should be good enough. While it is cooking up, we'll come back and we'll go ahead and we'll do a application app service. This is infrastructure as a service. Like if you see that, this is the first one here. We deployed a virtual machine. Now we'll deploy a app service. Now what is an app service? We will see that. Instead of discussing theoretically, let's discuss, create it, and then come and compare this one. So now if you want to deploy a web application to an app service, Azure app service, now that Azure app service is made up of two different things. One is the app service plan and one is the app service. So let's deploy and then we'll speak. Okay. So I'll call it as web app. And if you see that, that's the web application. And somewhere here you'll have the app service plan. Okay, app service plan is the compute power. It is the compute power. We'll see that. We'll do a deep dive into that also. Just give me a minute. Let me go ahead and create this first. I'm calling it as app, and I have courses, college, school courses 001. Okay, or else I'll call it as API. So I know that what is this specifically doing. And here we'll again come back and do the Docker container deployment as well as the code deployment. But as of now, I'm going to select the long-term support. Oh, anyway, .NET 8 has come. So let's use that. So the .NET 8, ooh, see that? So, one very important thing we need to observe here is when you're creating the web applications, based on what you are deploying, you will have the underlying operating system. Suppose if I have to deploy a static web application, that is entirely a different ball game. But if I want to deploy a Docker container, I can go ahead and deploy a Docker container in both Windows as well as Linux. But when I'm deploying the code, what determines is the type of framework which you select. Suppose if I select PHP, that guy has grayed out Windows. And if I go ahead and select Python, it grayed out Windows. And if I select Node.js, he's giving me an option. I can deploy Node.js on Windows as well as Linux. And if I want to deploy Java 17, the latest LST, he's giving me an option. I can do it at both the places. And if I have to do something in .NET 7, which is the standard time support, that means the life of that is till 20 May 2024, or .NET uh, uh, life cycle. Okay. Now this one. So you can see that this gives you a clear picture. So .NET 7, this is the start date, and you can see that the .NET 6, the end date is November 12, 2024, where they are going to release the .NET 8. Okay, so these are gone. The support term is gone, but still there are applications uh, which are using older frameworks. So if you see that .NET 7, it is here. I think May 2024 is when they will do an end of life support of this one. I can show you in another place also. .NET 8 download. When you type this .NET 8 download, you can go here, and if you click on this, here it clearly shows. Yeah, I still remember May 14, 2024. So this is standard term support. That means it uh, it this is the latest release, but last year, I think 2022 November, they released this .NET 7, and it is like 1.5 years of life cycle, whatever it is. Yeah, 1.5 years. It's coming around to 1.5 years. But this is the long-term support is of 3 years. So if you start learning .NET 8, which is going to be released in November of 2023, so you're good for 2026. At least for 3 years, you will be working. So it is a very good decision to jump in and learn the .NET 8. Okay, that being said, that determines this one. Anyways, I'm going to select, let me take a calculated risk. I'll select .NET 8. Anyways, I have a time. I have to deploy in next 2 weeks. I'll prepare it. Next thing is, let's select US East, and this is where we will have to create a plan. And all these naming conventions I've given you, we will use that naming convention. Now here is where the app service plan, which will determine the cost of running this application, and what is that compute power you need it, you have to decide. So if you see that, if I select free, so Azure Compute Unit or vCPUs, that means, from a layman terms, or I'm telling that this is guaranteeing the compute power. It's not telling that he's going to give you the A1 series, B1 series, or P series of the virtual machine, but that much of compute power is guaranteed. It's the compute power, Azure Compute Unit. See this, Azure Compute Unit vCPUs is an approximation of skews relative performance. That much of compute power is guaranteed for us. So what I will do is, to be on a safer side, I will select the standard one. So that means monthly I should pay 5,000 rupees. So I'll select this, and this is where I have it. And then I will go ahead and deploy, and GitHub Actions and other things I'll come back, but that is not what will be covered in the exam. So it might be derailing from the journey. So let's see that. So once again, quickly, we can see the subscription, the resource group, the name of the app service, and published IP is code, and it is .NET 8. So we have the plan name, the Linux type, and what is that which it is going to create. So now I'm creating. So what is that I'm creating here is the platform as a service. Now let's do a deep dive that one. So this one, the virtual desktop, I will close this so that we can focus only on two things. We just spoke about that it's a virtual desktop and applications, but we will see hands on, might be in sixth session. There are other important things which I want to discuss. So we deployed the Azure virtual machine. Now we are deploying the uh, app service also. This we have seen in the last session itself, where in previous session itself, where we have the virtual machine, and we will have a public IP, and we'll have a network security group, and we'll have virtual network, and we'll have network interface card and disk. At least from the networking services, which we will discuss in the future sessions, but you can see that the address space, the CIDR block for this particular virtual network is 10.2.0.0.16. That means we have we can host around 65,000 virtual machines. We have that much of address space, okay, from this to this. And then we can go ahead and divide that the entire CIDR block into different subnets. So you can see that the default subnet is 10.2.0.0.24. So that means available IP addresses is 250 IP addresses. Again, I can create more of this one, but this is going to come as part of the networking that we will discuss in future episodes. Now we saw that the network interface card, and network interface card, we saw the network security group, where we had the inbound and outbound IP addresses, as well as this is the IP configuration. One important thing I want to show here is the uh, DNS servers, not here, that's in app service. Okay, so the IP configuration, everything you can see here, that's dynamic IP. The type of IP is dynamic IP. If you select the static IP, that means even if you shut down the machine, once you reboot that machine, you will still have the same IP address. When you want that kind of scenario, you can select it, but you need to pay a little bit more on that. And coming to this hard disk, if you see that the the hard disk is 127 gig, and the storage type is SSD local redundant. We'll see that options in a minute, but let's focus on the performance tier. And you can see the few other things here, the size and performance. And you can see that 128 gig, it's a performance tier is P10. That means provisioned input output operations per second is 500, and provisioned throughput is 100. Max shares is this much. There are a lot of information, like whatever you want you can go ahead and do, but again you need to ensure that the type of virtual machine you have selected, it supports this one. Like if you select the HDD, so some of the performance tiers will not be available. So you need to ensure that you are selecting a proper this thing. And some of the other information is, you see this is the managed by this virtual machine to which it is attached, that it's showing. And you can see another important point is encryption, the disk encryption. So in the disk encryption, you can have two things, the platform managed keys or the customer managed keys. So when you want to do the customer managed keys, again, we need to have our own uh, minimum key vault and have to ensure that the keys are secure. But this is being done by Microsoft, and they do a very, as you have seen, that tons and tons of certifications they do. They will have a hardware security model or software HSM where they create this keys and encrypt the data. Even someone, no one can steal it, but imagine like a in movies they go and even they steal the disk, they'll not be able to encrypt, they'll not be able to read the data, like because of the encryption. Okay, and now that is one thing we have seen, and other thing which I want to show you is here the size. When we come in here to sizes, we can see that what is this current size and what is that you want to bump it up. And the another thing is, when you're sizing that, as I was mentioning, you need to ensure that whether the premium disk is supported or not supported. For few of the things it might not support. And also check your pocket, how much you have to shell when you're going to take. I mean, if you want to do a quick experiment or the business needs, you need to take it, no questions asked. Directly you have to go and take whatever the budget it is. It needs it, it needs it, no questions asked. Okay, so that's the quick tour about the infrastructure as a service. Now let's see the platform as a service. So when we go here to this platform as a service, again, I'll open this one also. We need to discuss few other things. While that is coming up, let's go ahead and create a storage account. Do you want to mix it? No, let's discuss last 20 minutes. We'll focus on that one. Now, if you see that the plan itself is showing this nice little penguin Linux icon, and here you have scale up. We discussed about the scaling, vertical scaling or horizontal scaling, scale up or scale out. So this is the vertical scaling. That means you can come increase the computing power or decrease the computing power. Now it says that, now if you see premium V3 P3 V3, it will cost 48 or 50 rupees per hour, and this is, I'm paying around 8 rupees per hour, assuming that I'm running this application for 730 hours a month. So that's what it's going to cost me. And scale out is that we can scale horizontally. That means we'll add more number of instances. So you can do a manual scaling, or you can do a auto scaling based on the metrics. Okay, you can have the scale out manual scaling where a maximum of 10 I can do the scaling, and rule based scaling, I mean, manually I can say that 2 instances, but I need to pay that much of amount, please remember that. And if it is a rule based scaling, that means metrics. Suppose the CPU is hitting 60% constantly, and if it is a little spike on top of 60, application might not be as fast as it should be. So it's better to spin up another instance, and so that the traffic, the load is being distributed between both the instances. That way what happens is the user will get a better experience and he will stick to that. Imagine you are trying to order some food from an online store, and it is taking 12 seconds to display a page. You will say that I'll have a glass of water and then sleep, I don't want to eat dinner, because we can't bear 12 minutes or 12 seconds or 10 seconds staring at the screen. There were good olden days where I used to stare for 20 seconds waiting for the page to display, but now we will not. I mean, better we'll do fasting on that night without dinner, have a glass of water and sleep, instead of ordering it from that application, from that site. So similarly, this is one of the thing. And another important thing is the networking stuff, which VNet integration we are not going to discuss at this point of time. We'll discuss a little further. And another important point which I want to highlight is what is the storage which you're getting for the S1. You can see that we are going to get 50 gig of hard disk, and number of apps which is using it is one app, this one. So we can have multiple applications, but as of now only one application is being used. The key thing is this properties tab. When you come here, it says that its status is ready, yours is standard tier, small instance, and instance count is one. Where do you get that instance count? You can, if you scale up, scale out, you can see that how much instances you're scaling, you will see that instance count here. And this is very important. And coming back to this one, and again, this time we'll directly go and look at the properties tab. I should be able to locate the properties. Jesus. Um, what? Okay, is this configuration? No, it's not configuration. It's a properties tab. Why I'm not able to do that? Let me type. Ooh, let's see about that. So this is one important place where you will create the configurations, maybe your connection strings or your key vault or third party PayPal or that kind of integration, or you're integrating with someone else. All these things will be here. And in the general settings, you can see that the stack which you're deploying and what is the version, and minor version, what is that, and you can see the deployment and some other options always on. So that means always the application will be in warm mode. So if it is cold mode, means again you need to come and hit it, uh, and the first hit will take little bit time. You can do a remote debugging and certifications, which you can do it. And path mappings, if you are trying to deploy multiple applications within this as a virtual directory, we can create it. And you can customize the error error applications. But when you deploy the Windows one, there will be different options. That's what I wanted to show you, but I'm not able to. But we'll create one more in Windows in the next episode, where you'll see the default document. Okay, at this point of time we are not able to see the default document. That is reason I'm not able to see that some of the things which I wanted to show. But nevertheless, we can come into this one SSH. We'll get into that SSH, and we will come in here, and this is the default domain. Okay, so if you click on the default domain, it comes and it displays. And if you see that, it says that site is secure. So if you go and click on that, and it says the connection is secure, you click on that, and certificate is valid. So if you see that asterisk, the wildcard certificate, anything dot Azure websites.net. So it's SSL, but ABC dot Azure websites.net, Swamy the learner dot Azure websites.net. So this is a wildcard certificate which will be used for all the PaaS applications which you are deploying. So you can see that it is a valid certificate, and it will be applicable for all. So this is the wildcard certificate. And who has provisioned it, and where is this coming from? So to know that, we can get deep into the weeds and check the LS or DAR. So you can see that this is when I type host name, it is displaying this. And also you can see that it is displaying the IP address. So that means our application has been deployed in some instance. Okay, it could be the Docker container, or it could be in the virtual machine, but we will not have the control to that hardware. We will not have the control to that hardware. Everything is taken care by the Azure. Okay, so we have to decide whether to go ahead and use the infrastructure as a service versus platform as a service. As I was mentioning, if you want to deploy some .NET 5 application which is working good, then an app service is not having that as part of the stack for the deployment, then you use the infrastructure as a service, create a virtual machine and deploys. You have a custom application, you have different application which you have written, and it has got a lot of intellectual property and you don't want that to host it here, you can do it there. There are a lot of other reasons which you can do that. And the responsibility, that the only thing is you need to know what you have to do versus what is being done by the cloud provider, and what is the shared responsibility, who will take care of what, that we have to take care. And like some of the things is, if you go ahead with the app service, what all the things which you're getting, like you're getting the configuration and you can get the authentication type out of the box. So if you see that for this uh, API, if you want to add the identity, so it's giving you these many options. You can use the Microsoft ID, Apple ID, Facebook, GitHub, Google, Twitter, OpenID Connect. All you have to do is configure it. Or you want the system assigned identity, that means that will be closely tied to the application, the apps, this apps. So once you delete this app, the system assigned identity what you have created will be dead. So you can add the custom domain, you have certificates, you have this one, lot of things are coming out of the box. And if you are not, if this one is not enough for this and you need something else, again you need to go back to the infrastructure as a service. So it depends upon your use case. It's not always one stop solution, it works for all. No, you have to see that why do you need that and versus why do you need this. Okay, so we can do .NET hyphen hyphen list SDKs. So it's not displaying that. Okay, never mind. I do a DAR and I do which one? Which one? Which one? Is it site? Ooh, CD home, CD site, CD www root. So if you see that cat hosting start.html. So you see that whatever Microsoft Azure App Service welcome. So the same thing you're seeing here. Microsoft App Service welcome. So that means by default, when you create a app service, that application, that will be provisioned and it will create a hosting start HTML. So if I do an ls inside that www root, so this is the one. So do I have MC edit? Okay. So I think VI should be there. Oh, okay. VI is there. So if you want to change it, you can go ahead and definitely change it. Let me select that insert command. And where is that title? I want to go till body. Yeah, body is here. There's a body tag. And I can delete everything from the body tag. And I can go ahead and quit without saving. Now I do a cat. I don't know. I would have modified it. No, thank God I said that quit without saving. So we can go ahead and modify. But if it is a Windows app service, we have full control to go ahead and do that. So now you understood that uh, three key players here. One thing is infrastructure as a service. We saw that, but I will prepare it off screen because it takes few hours. Now that I'm seeing .NET 8 is available, I will prepare this virtual machine for the .NET 8 web API or web application deployment, and then we'll integrate that with the API. We'll do a different things and Azure functions. A lot of hands-on, but before closing, we still have 10 or 12 minutes. If we can stretch for 2 minutes, real quick, I will store storage account. I should be having it in my recently created. Yes, the storage account I will go ahead and create. So the next big piece we will be discussing is the storage accounts. So the storage account is like a blob. The store provides this one different services. We will see five of those services. Okay, let's come back to this one to see that. Um, okay, these are the things. Okay, first we'll see that Azure storage account. We'll see the endpoints. First we will create it, then we'll come and we'll correlate one by one. Before that, we'll understand this locally local redundant storage, geo redundant storage, read access geo redundant storage, zone and geo zone, and RAGRS. So if you read this theory, will not be able to understand and see this service, the blob storage, data lake gen 2, Azure file storage, which is like a SMB and network file share. This is for a simple queues. This is non-relational table storage. So there is an other very good picture. Here we can see that one, the redundancies. So local redundant is within the same data center, it will make 3 copies. And if it is zone redundant, this is a zone availability zone 1, zone 2, zone 3. So it will make, again, it makes 3 copies, but in different availability zone. There are different data centers. If these two data centers are gone, but still your data is safe in another zone. And redundancy in the secondary region, that means if you're in east US, the secondary region will be west US. So 3 copies in east US and 3 copies in west US. Even if this entire region is gone, still you have your data in the secondary region. And one thing is recovery point. Where is it? It is coming. We'll see that recovery point. I'll come in a minute. One more thing is, if you want the read-only access to the content which is there in the secondary region, you can select the RAGRS. That means it makes 3 copies in the primary region as zone redundant, and you'll have 3 copies locally in the secondary region. One good thing is you can write to these area, and this can be used as a reporting, but you have a read only access to this content like a reporting, and this is the highest one, 16 nines of durability. Okay, read access to data in secondary region in RAGRS. Okay, in RAGRS, if you see this, for read access to the secondary region, enable RAGRS. Okay, RA zone redundant service. And the key thing is recovery point objective. Where is that recovery point objective? So this is very important. So the content from primary region is getting asynchronously copied or created in the secondary region. What if the primary region is down? So how much will be the data loss? So that's what, if you see that the interval between the most recent write to the primary region, and the last write to the secondary region is known as recovery point objective. So max of less than 15 minutes. It's a negligible. Let's go ahead and create the storage account, and then we'll come back. And the rules of the game is everything is lowercase. STAZ 900 series. And if you have this, it is 3 characters, max of 24 characters. It's only lowercase alphabets. Okay, this field can contain lowercase letters and numbers, nothing else. Okay, just wanted to show you that. And here the performance you want a premium, or here the um, type of redundancy. We saw that picture. So based on that, it's just for a demo. We can see this one, the lowest, the basic protection from the server rack and drive failure. So ours is a non-critical. So let's see this. This is from the access perspective. And the other one we saw that data lake storage. If we come and see that in the first unit or second unit. In the second unit, we saw that at least to a 30,000 foot level. We'll come back to these things. And if you see that data lake storage gen 2, that is what, if you want that service, then you need to click on this button. Okay, if not, what all the other things which are available is, you have the blob storage. Here you can see that these are the correct. You have the blob storage, you have data lake gen 2, and you have Azure file, you have queue storage, and you have a table storage. And this is the endpoint with which you will be able to access it. So let's go ahead and see. Okay, you have a blob storage and Azure file. This and the tiers, we will come back to the tiers while we are here. Next, go to the next topic, redundancy. We have seen this picture. And the next thing we will go here is the blob, a massive scale object store. Okay, and this includes support for big data analytics, file share, where you do the SMB like Z drive and X drive, we map it, isn't it? Those kind of drives we can use it. Queue is simple messaging queues. And again, if you go to AZ204 certification, that's when you'll need to know the difference between when to use queue storage versus Azure queues. And Azure disk is the VM disk. We saw that here when we are creating it. The disk, the green color, blue color disks were there. That will be stored in the storage. Now that we are offloading that responsibility to Azure, they will manage all the managed disks. Yeah, that's stable. Azure blobs are here. So hot access is something you very frequently access. Suppose you have an images to a website. Now cool is something you access very infrequently, but at least for 30 days. So the cold access is something you access at least once in 90 days. The archive tier is once in 180 days. So the pricing to store this and the pricing to read this will differ. So as you go down towards this, the storage cost will be low, but the read cost will be high. Okay, but if you go this way, the read cost will be high here and the read cost will be low here. So that will be there. And the SLA. Now, if Azure Files is where you can use the network file system or SMB network server message block, these are the protocols. And you have queues, disks, and table. Okay, create a blob storage. That is what we are doing it right now. And we'll go to the networking. And this one will cover next. And you have a soft delete. Soft delete means what will happen is, if you say that the blobs has to be stored for 7 days, that means it will, even though you delete the blob, it will be stored in a temporary location for 7 days. And again, the encryption, you can use the Microsoft managed or customer managed. If you have a customer managed, again you need to go to the key vault to get it, but we will leave it there. And tag review, and we'll create it. We'll see that in a 2 minutes. Rashmita, I need 2 extra minutes. I just want to show this, make it a logical closure. And in the next episode, we'll dig deep into weeds and go and do a little bit more experimentation. And let's make it a full of hands-on. Uh, let's
Rohit.
Thanks. You see this one, I was talking about the disk. And I'll close this. I think we did a little bit deep dive. You can see this guy who, yeah, it was deployed pretty quick. Let's come back to the, yeah, we have that here, storage account. So can come in here and you see the blob storage, and you see the file share. You can create the file share. If you want to create the file share, it will give you the code also and what should be the file we can do. And you have the queues, basic queue, and you have table, the NoSQL kind of thing. And here you have the those things. You have the storage browser, or you can use the Azure Storage Explorer, a Windows application. And we can do all creating of blobs, uploading of blobs, and all those things. We will see that in a next session. Okay, so that is it from my side. Rashmita, back to you. I am not seeing any queries.
Sure. Thank you, Swamy, for the session, and thank you all for joining us today. Please visit Microsoft Reactor website for more upcoming session. The next session is on 27th September, so please do join us. Feel free to use the Learn module links, which I've already shared in the chat section, and also right now I'm displaying. This will give you access to additional resources to take your learning further. Thank you all once again and enjoy the rest of your day.